Hello people, I'm Tommy, and as you can see, I am still here in South Carolina, and the effects of being in trader territory and away from my old stomping ground has really got me pining for the good old days, when things were simpler, better, and the biggest stain on humanity was balloon racing.
New Super Mario Bros., one of the most popular and defining titles on the Nintendo DS. A great platformer and was the first truly new 2D Mario game in almost 14 years. But that's not what we're here to talk about today, because we'll be going through the 4 categories of mini-games and rank all 18 of them just to see how funky or junky these games are 16 years later. Now, why am I not looking at Super Mario 64 DS, which has more mini-games? Snowball Slalom. Roll the snowball down, avoid the obstacles, get to the finish line before the time runs out, and then never play the game again. Once you win the game once, there is a little incentive to play again. Beating your time would be the only reason to, but too bad this game absolutely sucks anyway. Lakitu Launch. Shoot the shell into the other shell. This game is one of 2 in the collection that involves launching things on the top of the screen, and in my opinion is the weaker half. It's a good game and it's got some replay value to it, but there is very little reason to play this when a better version exists coming later. Danger Bob-Omb Danger was a game I remember playing very little as a kid, but playing it again, it's pretty good. Move around the Bob-Omb and avoid fire and other projectiles makes for a surprisingly addictive game. Not much else to say here other than it's a really fun one that I recommend. I'm gonna come out and say it, but back in my prime, I was the greatest Whack-A-Monte player in kindergarten. If there was anything that could inflate my ego as a kid, it was showing off my ability to smash mole skulls. Unfortunately, as I am now older, my 18-year-old self just isn't as sharp as it once was. But Whack-A-Monte is superb. Balloon racing sucks and it's bad. Quite frankly, this game offends me as somebody who suffers from... Oh, you think I'm overreacting? Well, let's interview somebody who's suffered from playing balloon racing. In recap, the action games were either good, bad, or the asthma assassin over here. I remember liking this section a lot more as a kid, but looking back now, if the games were good, they were pretty good, but if the games were bad, they were downright dirty. Starting off the puzzle section, we've got Wanted, one of the most recognizable games in the minigame collection. You have to find one of 4 characters, Mario, Luigi, Wario, or Yoshi, in a sea of all the other characters. As a kid, I remember this game being brutally difficult, and the game I played the most in the collection. Coming back to it, I now realize this game is super easy and brutally boring. There was never a point in this game where I was even close to running out of time. And once you play till round 100, you begin to see how many of the formats are exactly the same. Even looking for Luigi or Yoshi, which are typically more difficult than Wario and Mario, was surprisingly easy coming back to it. The only reason I lost was because I got so bored and just ended it myself, which is not a good sign. I have positive childhood memories of this game, and it can be fun in short bursts, but my god, I did not expect this game to be so mediocre coming back to it. Witch Wiggler is like taking Wanted and making it even worse. Now, I will say it's a more difficult version of Wanted, looking for the correct Wiggler pattern, but that ain't doing it any favors when it sucks this bad. This game can be just downright bullshit at points, and I really didn't have a good time with this one. Hide and Boo Seek. Now this was a game I loved when I was younger and still love to this day. Use the stylus to uncover the ghosts while being on a pretty strict time frame. Some levels will have multiple boos to uncover, others the boos will be moving super fast, making it more difficult to keep track of them in the beginning. This game is fun to play and another game that's great to go for a high score on. Puzzle Panel. You gotta match the puzzle on the top screen and a certain amount of moves. When the game tells you to solve the puzzle in 1 move, I'm a genius. I can do that with ease. You get to 2 moves, and yeah, I can do that fairly easily. Anything more than that, no. Puzzle Panel is the ultimate. I'm glad it's here, but I do not have any strong positive or negative feelings toward it. Coincentration is great. Wario drops down coins, and it's up to you to get as many of them as possible without hitting any empty blocks. Looking at the coins fall and trying to monitor where all the coins are really adds a hint of strategy to a fairly simple game. It's probably the shortest game in the collection, but I think that makes it way more replayable than most of the other games here. The puzzle section had some great games in it. These games can be from average to above average experiences. Almost great games and highly recommended. If these minigames did anything, it was put Luigi in a suit and tie and assist in giving a generation of kids a gambling addiction. I would know, I was one of them. The first section of the game is Memory Match, a simple game where you have 3 tries to uncover all the cards in order to progress. Not the most gambly game, but as you go on, the amount of cards increase, relying more and more on luck as time goes on. A short but fun one. Every single event in my life, both good or bad, every single choice I have ever made which positively or negatively impacted either myself or those around me, all of that can be traced back to a 5-year-old Tommy Gowers playing picture poker on New Super Mario Bros. For the first time. Picture poker! You get 5 cards, you can draw some back, and then you bet coins in hopes of beating Luigi. You see, this game teaches you 2 important life lessons. 1, you learn the hierarchy of a hand in poker, and 2, that Luigi is a f***ing cheater. He draws all of his cards, and then proceeds to pull a 4 of a kind out of his ass, and then I proceed to drink my sorrows away. So for that, this game has earned my respect. Paragon is the thinking man's game. You have to get all the cards out, and the cards can only disappear if they're right next to each other. This game's fun, and is probably the most strategic game in the collection, while still being very simple. I don't remember playing this game much as a kid, but I had a great time playing this one. The weakest of the 3, but still a top tier nonetheless. The table games truly showed quality over quantity. These games are all spectacular, and it was a pleasure coming back to this section of minigames again. Mario's Slides. You have to guide this disembodied Mario head to the star while making lines with your stylus. Similar to Wanted, I remember playing this game a ton as a kid, but looking back, it's an okay game. It's an interesting concept, and one that can be fun no doubt, but not one that interested me for too long. Sword or Splode is the easy-to-understand, hard-to-master game in the collection. You drag the black Bob-Ombs to the right and the red to the left. But this game can get batshit insane. More Bob-Ombs popping out, increasing the chance of error, placing them in the correct side quick enough before they explode. Sword or Splode is an incredibly addicting game and one of the big boys of the collection. Bounce and Trounce is the weakest of the variety pack, but that does not mean it's a bad one. Tapping the Marios, you keep them in the air while they bounce on top of the Shy Guys. There really isn't much else to say here, other than it's a fun game, it's a fun concept, and is a perfect mini-game for the Nintendo DS. Starting to see a theme here, because all the mini-games that include Bob-Ombs always seem to be some of the best games in the collection, because Bob-Omb Squad is the cream of the crop in New Super Mario Bros. Mini-games. Shooting the Bob-Ombs out of the sky and getting combos, while shooting Lakitu to clear the screen. As you play more and more, the amount of bombs increase while they get faster, and you lose when all the flowers at the bottom are destroyed. It's not the most original concept, but it works wonders on the DS with its stylus. The most replayable game in the collection, and one that I cannot recommend enough. The final game of the collection, Trampoline Time, takes the concept of Bounce and Trounce and makes it so much better. Instead of just tapping the stylus, you drag on the bottom screen in order to make trampolines, in order to get the Marios to the open door on the other side. If you make a trampoline right near a Mario, they gain a massive air. This is a great mini-game, and only goes to strengthen the already beefy variety section of games. So in conclusion, what did I think of these mini-games? Well, the action section was pretty mediocre with most of its games, while puzzle had great games, table had phenomenal games, and variety had very addicting games. I'm happy I returned to this collection, seeing games I loved as a kid and other games I had completely different opinions on. Great time all around. Balloon racing is and always will suck ass. And that's all she wrote. The new Super Mario Bros. Minigames, to this day, can still bring joy to those who play them, and it helped me remember the good old days in my home state of New Jersey. Oh my god. I'm back, bitches!